Welcome to Accelerate OC, the only show focused on the people leading innovation in Orange County. Join our host, Kerry Ransom, in his conversations with the trendsetters, entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders here, because it's time to Accelerate OC.
Good morning. Welcome to Accelerate OC. I'm Kerry Ransom, and thanks to our engineer, Paul, for always keeping things nice and tight here in the studio. I'm super excited to have my friend Shawn Wehan here today. Before we get to hear from Shawn, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is the co-founder and CEO of Givsum, and it's a startup here helping charities and service clubs, at least as I describe it, to embrace the digital age. And we'll talk more about that. Shawn's getting some great traction, especially recently with a little pivot that he made to focus on service clubs. So we'll talk a little bit about the service club market. And I'm excited as well to bring him on because I'm also a recent investor into Givsum and want to be fully transparent with the audience that I have a real interest in all that Givsum is doing, both because I really have enjoyed getting to know Shawn over the last year, but also I have a financial interest. Prior to Givsum, Shawn also was really involved in a group called Future Leaders of Our Community that he co-founded and started here in Orange County. And he built it quickly into an organization that had a reach into thousands of young professionals here. And he was bringing them together to introduce them to opportunities to get involved with the many Orange County nonprofits that are here. And through that is really where he found some of the inspiration and opportunity to start Givsum. He also has a master's in divinity and theology and was a pastor for a number of years before that. And he also has, and really should probably be conducting this show because he has a undergraduate degree in radio broadcasting. And so he's far more experienced in it than I am, but I appreciate him coming on as a guest today. And he also, if you can find it on the podcast channel that you really enjoy using, he has a great set of podcasts that he has recorded called American Philanthropy. And I would say some of the best produced ones that I've ever listened to. Really, part of what inspires me about Shawn is that he is living the mantra of doing well by doing good, and is also one of the scrappiest entrepreneurs that I've ever met. And he'll talk about some of the things he's done over his journey with Givsum to get product shipped and take advantage of all the resources that are out there. We always have a lot to talk about, and I think in particular why I wanted to have him on here on Accelerate OC is because he is absolutely committed to building the company here in Orange County and has tapped into some amazing local talent at all levels of experience. Shawn, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Kerry. Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with you and so excited to be asked to be one of the Accelerate OC speakers on this podcast. The list of people that you've had on so far are extraordinary and just excited to be one among them. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you here. So let's get going. Let's get to the starting line. Introduce the audience to Givsum and how you got it started.
All right, Givsum. Givsum stands for Giving Summary, Givsum. And the idea came to us years ago when Facebook was really blowing up, 2009, 2010. Everybody was on Facebook. And I was doing Future Leaders of Our Community. We were working with thousands of young professionals. They were all volunteering in the local community, making donations, attending galas and golf tournaments. And we were asking the question, hey, where's the summary of everything that we're doing? Mm-hmm. Where's somewhat of a social platform where we could be sharing the different causes that we're passionate about? We could be making our donations, and those donations would be put together for our taxes at the end of the year. And how could we just inspire more people to get engaged with more local causes? Mm-hmm. And the solution that came to all of us was it's got to be technology. I mean, this is the 21st century, and we have smartphones in our pocket. And so if we can pull out a phone and quickly connect with, our friends and quickly introduce them to, hey, Make-A-Wish is having a gala this weekend. Let's all go and support it. Or there's a golf tournament in 2 weeks. Let's go hit some balls and do it together. Well, that was kind of the initial idea. It was the movement of social media mixed with how can we really be tracking everything that we're doing. So Givsum is a philanthropic, user-based or donor-based platform that tracks all your giving, and it's an operational tool for service clubs or nonprofit organizations to basically collect donations, sell tickets, manage their volunteers, and basically have a CRM system that tracks everything that's going on with their organization. So it's a nice little all-in-one package. We like to refer to it as a nice all-in-one printer. It's not overwhelmingly sophisticated. That's for a much larger charity, but this is for a smaller to medium-sized charity that just needs an all-in-one to do everything in their operations and to connect to a great community of supporters.
Very cool. Thank you for that introduction. So, the audience may not know you've actually been at it now for a few years, and you've made a little bit of adjustment to the strategy. I think you've taken what I would characterize as the somewhat quintessential entrepreneurial journey that hasn't been a straight line.
Right.
And so you've made some recent adjustments to your strategy along the way. Why don't you tell us a little bit about sort of where you found the opportunity most recently and how that's starting to show itself?
So the initial idea, as I said, 2009, 2010, percolated all the way to 2013. We incorporated in 2015, and we really went after the nonprofit, small to medium-sized charity market. But as we were building all the different features and tools within the platform, we received a phone call, and this phone call came, a year and a half ago, from a service club, Rotary International, one of the local clubs here in Orange County, and in particular the incoming governor of Rotary District 5320, which is here in Orange County, 56 different clubs. And they mentioned to us 3 solid problems that they have. The first is that they're still using check and cash in a lot of clubs. They're still in 20th century technology, still writing things down.
I don't know if I'd even call it 20. That might be 19th. Yeah.
Dark ages. Still writing things down, pen and paper, and that's how they keep track of what's happening in their club. And they want to move more to 21st century technology, digital payments, digital tracking, etc. The other is that, they have been flat in terms of membership for a decade plus. Only 10% of their members are under the age of 40, and they just recognize that we as an organization, we've been around 100 years, but we have to be growing, and we need an avenue of younger people that know about our organization and that want to be involved with the great work that we're doing in the community. So we need to be where millennials are at, and they're in the digital space. And the third, got to get new members. The third thing is that they need to track all of their giving. Rotarians are extraordinarily engaged in the community, not just with their club, but with, on average, 5 to 6 different charitable organizations. So they're doing the local, cleanup at the beach. They're working at the local soup kitchen. They're working on, Chalk Hospital and helping with children over there, raising funds, doing multiple campaigns through the course of the year. And that's auxiliary to the work they're doing in the club. And the club and a district wants to say, hey, we've impacted, 2,000 nonprofit organizations in Orange County. We've given X number of dollars to the community. We've volunteered X number of hours. We've attended X number of events. And yes, we're engaged with our club as well. And so they presented those 3 problems, 21st century, more members, and more tracking of data. And they said, hey, can you help us with this? And when we looked at the service club market and we looked at that niche, we saw a huge opportunity and really just incredibly attractive for an entrepreneur to go after something specific, right? Because you start off with a broad vision. Hey, let's transform philanthropy and help it, come into 21st century space and digital space. But then when you can really get honed in on a specific target, that was a nice, solid little pivot for us to say, let's just focus here for now. And Rotary is just the tip of the iceberg. You got Lions Club, Kiwanis clubs. There's actually 80,000 different types of clubs throughout the U.S. So we saw that as a something to really sink our teeth into, and that happened over the last year and a half.
That's great, and I think a great story for other entrepreneurs to really draw from as well. In that, you had this grand vision. I mean, obviously, philanthropy as an overall mission is a massive hundreds of
Yeah,
billions of dollars.
1.5 million charities in the U.S.,
Mhm.
$410 billion donated to nonprofits just this last year.
Yeah.
So that's a huge
It's
market.
huge, and finding your spot,
Right.
even with a long-term vision of I want to touch it all. You've got to, as I often tell entrepreneurs, you have to have one customer before you have 10. You have to have your first dollar before you have
It's
a
so
million.
tempting
Right?
to
Yes.
want to just say, oh, we're $410 billion mark. We're going after all of it.
That's right.
It's so tempting to want to do that. But resulting from that, you get totally caught up in trying to service this person over here and this charity over here and this feature over there. And it's just squirrels all over the place. So it's been helpful for us to just hone in on something more specific.
Yes. So how has that changed the sort of the culture of Givsum in the last year as you have found this specific opportunity? I mean, is that sometimes I've seen where some people might actually disagree or get disillusioned or opt out. I mean, have you seen a material change in the organization,
Well,
positively or negatively?
First of all, there's such a gut check that goes on. If you're a co-founder of an organization, you're always gut checking. Is this the right direction?
Mm-hmm.
Is this what I need to be doing? Does this make sense for us at this time? And when we, again, looked at Rotary International, looked at the service club market, one of the first things I said was, if I look at my own life, I've actually been a Rotarian most of my life. I've always been working in the community, working with different nonprofits, being engaged and being of service for others. And when I looked at Rotary, I said, I'm really a Rotarian. I'm going to become a Rotarian. I'm going to immerse myself in the community. So one of the things that's changed for our company is I now spend a lot of time at Rotary meetings. I go to their conferences, their conventions. I get to know various different members. I'm now a member of the Newport Beach Rotary Club, and I'm a Rotarian now,
Officially.
and other some of our other team members are Rotarians as well. So, and we spend a lot of times. I'm this Sunday. I'm going to go to the Woodland Hills Rotary Club poker tournament, which is selling tickets on our platform, and I will be at that poker tournament playing cards and helping people get their rebuys and processing that on our platform. And so if when you immerse yourself in a customer and you get to know everything about them, that changes because you're now a part of their ecosystem. You're a part of their network. And so a pivot does that. It heads you in that direction. So we're fully on board with what's happening with Rotary, and we're looking at the next year of all the events we're going to be attending, including their international conference is going to be in Hawaii next year, 2020. So we're excited about going out there and being part of that as well.
That's cool. I think a great story for other entrepreneurs to just see how, what I would say, all in you are.
Yeah.
And I think that commitment is part of what helps drive that success that you're starting to see.
One of the things that happens if you've been on the entrepreneurial journey for a while is you have other right out of the gate entrepreneurs come to you, and you have to. They'll say to me, "I got a great idea for an app, or I want to do this XYZ," and I always look at them and I said, "Well, are you fully committed? Is this 100%? Are you doing this full time?" And the answer, if it's not that, is like, you're just not going to get there because it is total and complete immersion in almost every aspect of your life. In order to build something new, in order to change an environment, every cell in your body has to be committed to it, not just in the short term, but for the marathon. Knowing that you are on a mission to change the reality as you know it. And so I always say to entrepreneurs, like, you 100% you can do it, but you have to 100% commit for an unlimited amount of time. And tenacity wins the day, but it has to be all in.
That's great. Well, let's go under the hood a little bit here, Shawn. So I mentioned it earlier. You're committed to building Givsum here in Orange County. What is it about this community that gives you the confidence that you can build this change the world company here?
So I was blessed to be born in Dana Point, South Orange County. I like to call myself an Orange County surfer kid. Grew up sailing and surfing, spent a lot of time in the water, but just grew up enjoying Orange County. Going to Disneyland, spending time at the fair, spending time in Newport Beach, again, sailing in that harbor, and just, being a part of the ecosystem of Orange County. So I'm biased a little bit.
Sure.
But I've lived in Denver. I've lived in the Bay Area. I've lived in the Northwest in Seattle. Went to undergraduate there and spent time in Alabama, Mobile, Alabama. So I've lived in other places around the country, and I think anybody that grew up here has this this epiphany when they're living somewhere else, when they're like, "Oh my gosh, I grew up in paradise and didn't even realize it." We don't deal with humidity. We don't deal with rain 24/7. We don't deal with snow and 9 months of winter, bugs, and even if you're in the Bay Area, it's colder up there.
Sure.
And if you like mild climate and you like the beauty of the mountains mixed with the sea, the environment is spectacular. So that's like first and foremost for me. I woke up this morning, like, oh my gosh, this is a beautiful day today. I'm so happy to be alive and living in Southern California, in particular in Orange County. But then there's so much here that makes it a perfect environment to start a startup. Why? Because you have 50 plus different cities and you can experiment with different ideas. And every city is a little bit different, and you can drop your application in various different. For us, it's brilliant for nonprofit and for service clubs because there's 3,100 plus nonprofits. I can experiment with a number of them, and I can get to them within a 20-minute drive without having to be an hour and a half in the car to go 10 miles because the traffic's not so bad. So we've been able to test out our product and reach product market fit with a variety of different groups of people in quick drives, and to network with all that. It's a hidden gem that I believe over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be discovered in a very significant way, and people are going to realize this is an outstanding marketplace for startups. It's not the type of environment where you throw a stone and hit 50 developers and 20 investors and 5 VCs and at any given bar. But they're here, and as you build the relationships, you discover it, and that's why I think what you're doing, Carrie, is so fundamental to the connections that need to take place here. And that's why I think over the next 5 to 10 years is going to be quite the place to be. We're just excited to be here, be part of the growth that's going to happen.
That's awesome. Well, as you can no doubt know, I'm a little bit biased in that same direction. So we're a little bit. I would say we're on the same page. Probably not going to have a strong argument or disagreement about that. But I think it's a great story in perspective of what's here, and that this is a place that has all the pieces that you need, that most entrepreneurs need to build great world-changing companies.
Everything is fairly close, right? Like you can get in the car and drive to LA in an hour. If you want to be in West LA and be part of the entrepreneur community that's there, you can do that very quickly. If you want to jump on a flight and be in San Francisco within an hour and be at an event that's going on up there, I mean, it's not that far away. It's just that for me, it's you can be working on the beach, watching waves coming in, and responding to customers. I love that.
That's great.
What an opportunity to do that.
That's right. And I think it helps with the kind of balance that you need to endure that marathon. The idea that you're going to sprint through a startup for an extended period of time. There clearly are sprints along the way during a startup. I'm a big believer in the marathon idea, like you describe. Our life is a marathon, our career is a marathon, a startup is, and you've got to recognize that and make sure you can personally navigate through that. And I feel like an environment like this creates opportunities for that balance. If it's a hike or you need to go hit the mountains or the beach or whatever it is, there's an ability.
Not that far of a drive away.
That's right. So you can feel it and reach it. You don't feel so.
Can I say one more comment about the marathon? So in many ways, I'm a first-time business entrepreneur. Although I was an entrepreneur in starting a startup, I was an entrepreneur as a ministry. I did youth ministry when I was right out of college. I was the first full-time minister at a church in Dana Point, St. Edward's Church, and they were like, well, here's the white slate, make it what you will. And every part of your career, in essence, is a bit of a marathon. You're learning as you go. So if you're a first-time business entrepreneur, you're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to have to learn from those mistakes and iterate and grow and meet new people that are going to, as you like to put it, it's a team sport, right? So meet new people that are going to play other positions on your team and help you along the way. And there's no, you hear these great success stories. Oh, in a year and a half, we were $1 billion company, and it was so simple. It's like, well, come on. I mean, look at the whole storyline. It was years and years of development and training and so many things that got you to that point.
That's right.
And you have to have an environment and ecosystem that's going to sustain you over the long run. And I just know from the people that I've been working with here that we have found the resources. We have found the stepping stones to get to where we're at now, which is just coming into that product market fit and growth phase of our company. And it's taken us a while to get here, but we couldn't have gotten here without the support of the community.
That's right. Let's go a little bit deeper into that. Share a couple of the stories you have on how you've been able, I mean, the UC Irvine intern group that you have cultivated is, I think, remarkable. But give the audience a little window into some of the things that you've done, because I think these are the stories that often people don't understand. They don't hear. This is what I think defines someone as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think scrappy is a good term that you used to introduce me. We did a couple things right out of the gate. One is that my co-founders and my co-founder, Robert, who had been working for Kawasaki Motors for years and years, had not done a startup. Neither had I. We had other team members that were somewhat a part of a startup, but we started by leveraging the resources that were right in front of us that were free. You could go on to YouTube, you could watch Stanford's entrepreneurship class on startup, and we watched 12 series on that, hour after hour after hour. Okay, that was free, and we learned, here's how we're going to do each stage of our startup. Then I quit my job and went 100% in, moved in with my parents at the age of 38. And our office was in literally the upper bedroom of one of our co-founders. So that we didn't have to spend any money. So we could just start going after the idea. And we got a little bit down the road, bootstrap. Finally got a friend of ours to give us, a friend loan, basically 1.8% interest loan. And that got us a little bit of money to get further down with the product. And then we started looking at the ecosystem. Well, who's offering space? How do we get into there? So the Cove had opened up at that time. UCI's Applied Innovation.
Yep.
And we applied and we got in there, and that was where our first official office was. So we were in that environment for a year and a half. And we just absorbed like a sponge every person that we met, every entrepreneur that we met. We just, you have to have humility all the time. You don't have it figured out. So anybody that could give us anything, we wanted to just grasp onto. And when opportunities were there, we went after them. And, we now are in an office where we're in the office with a company called Blast, Walter Cruttenden, who started Acorns. We're in their ecosystem now, and we're absorbing everything we can from them. And then along the way, we needed more and more developers, and developers are expensive. So we looked at UCI. We have outstanding universities that are here in the Orange County community. We should be leveraging them 1,000 times over. And so we started an intern program with freshmen coming through the computer science department, and we created hoops for them. We said, look, we want to bring you into our company. We're going to give you bugs. We're going to help you learn all of our code that's on our platform. If you learn it, we're going to start paying you. So you put the carrot out there.
Yes.
And now we have 9 paid interns in our company. Awesome. And they're excited because they learn every day. They're working on code that goes live. Real customers are using their code. And, they're sophomores and juniors in college who are getting, resumes full of information about, the things that they're doing that's really live, and that, new companies can look at them and hire them. And so we're just looking at what are all the parts of the ecosystem that we can tap into that will help us get not leaps ahead, but just the next step and the next step and the next step after that. But I got to tell you, if you can tap into Chapman, if you can tap into UCI for their students, some of the best students in the country are coming out of, and other universities here in Orange County. Tap into them. They're right here.
Totally agree. Okay, Shawn, we have, growing group of people that are listening to Accelerate OC. They're loving to hear from folks like you. One of the things I really want to know is, what can the community do to help Givsum get to that next step, get ahead? What are the things that are on your mind where the broader Orange County community can be helpful?
I think it's really important that everybody in Orange County that's working in the entrepreneurship ecosystem talks about the other companies that are in the ecosystem. Mm-hmm. We brag about the companies. We brag about the entrepreneurs. Everybody that's trying to build something needs to be working together, because people in other areas, investors, venture capitalists, other potential employees, need to know that there are things happening in Orange County with great companies at various different stages. And if we are all supporting each other, that flywheel starts to turn. And as a company gets more successful, they re-engage and reinvest. Mm-hmm. And, that's one of the geniuses of Silicon Valley. You have great companies that come out of there, and then they reinvest in new entrepreneurs and new startups. And venture capitalists reinvest and they re-engage. And that needs to be happening in Orange County. And I think it only happens if we are talking about each other on a regular basis. If we think that we can just be siloed here, like, oh, Givsum's this great technology company and we're the only ones that's doing anything of merit. No, we're going to fall dead on the vine. We're going to die on the vine. We have to be sharing with each other all the great startups that are coming out of here in every environment, in every conference that we have, in every gathering, in every network group. We got to be supporting each other, and that's how we're going to succeed.
That's great. Yeah, we're definitely all in this together. I totally agree. So, Shawn, I could sit here for hours and chat more with you, and unfortunately, Paul has to keep me on task and on time, so he's giving me the wrap up here. So we got to go to the final lap here on Accelerate OC today. I always ask my guests to share some piece of advice or key lesson with the audience. So you've shared a lot already, but what would be the biggest piece of advice you'd give to other entrepreneurs or folks thinking about becoming an entrepreneur here in Orange County?
Roadblocks are part of the game. So as long as you know that they're coming, don't be surprised by them. Recognize them, figure out a way to get around them. All the resources are here for you to, climb over that roadblock, get around it, dig under it. You will get through it and on the other side. And then there'll be more roadblocks that you'll have to tackle. But know that they're coming. Don't be surprised for it. So many entrepreneurs find the roadblock and they give up. Like they were shocked by, oh, this is harder than I thought. It's reality check. It's really hard. This is really hard. So as long as you know that, then, that's fine. You can go after it. Good luck.
That's great. Shawn, thanks so much for taking us on the ride today and sharing the Givsum story to this point. We're definitely going to have to check in again soon and see how things are going on the journey. And thanks also for leading by example in the community, both in the entrepreneurial community, but also in the service community and becoming that official Rotarian that you have always been. You're definitely doing your part to Accelerate OC, and I appreciate that, and I know the rest of the community does as well. Welcome to the family.
Thank you, Carrie, and thank you for being engaged with us and for helping lead us as well.
You've just listened to Accelerate OC. Join our live recordings every Tuesday morning at accelerateoc.com or listen, like, and share anytime from your favorite podcast spot. Let's accelerate OC together.